Hey, hey, hey! Welcome! Welcome to a story that I happened to just one day think up. It just came to me. The story of what if Frank Horrigan was in the Wings of Fire universe. Yes, it's a completely absurd and completely kinda stupid idea. Most randomest thing I can think of. But I've been reading the books. Well, not exactly reading the books, but I've been watching these like kind of movie versions of them on YouTube. I forget the name of the YouTuber who did it, but look it up on YouTube. They're fully animated, they have some little animations here and there, as well as fully voice acting for the characters. Go watch them, it's really good. Go watch it, it's really good. Now, back to what we're here about. The story of what if Frank Horrigan was in the Wings of Fire universe. Now, how this story shall begin. Let's start with Chapter 1. The Metal Scavenger. Scene: oil rig. Our story begins with Frank Horrigan facing off against the Chosen One. This so-called Chosen One is giving him a bit of trouble. And he is not exactly struggling now. He's actually to have wounded the Chosen One quite much. He fires a shot from his cannon, hitting the leg of the Chosen One, crippling him. Chosen One falls to one knee as Frank approaches, towers over him, grabs him by the throat, and lifts him up.
Say goodbye, beauty,
Frank says, and then all you hear is a sickening snap. As the Chosen One goes limp in Frank's grasp, he then throws him aside like he's a mere waste of space and garbage. As to Frank, that's all he ever was. The oil rig starts to shake. It starts to explode. It starts to explode a little bit. The countdown, the self-destruct sequence. It's reaching its last seconds. Frank tries to start to run. But then, countdown goes from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, boom! And all that Frank saw was white. And then black. Scene change. Unknown cave. Frank awakes, his vision blurred. He looks around through his blurred vision. His vision starts to slightly clear up. He sees stone walls. What looks to be a cave. He doesn't know how he got from the oil rig to some cave, but he's not going to question it and just get out of there. He gets up from the ground, slightly wincing as a twinge of pain shoots through his side. He was slightly wounded, but his armor tanked the explosion mostly. And this armor is quite durable, because it doesn't even look that banged up at all. It doesn't look burned or anything. And the wound isn't even bad. Not that he can see it, since it's under his armor. but it doesn't seem too bad, and it will heal pretty quickly, most likely. And it will heal most likely pretty fast. Frank gets up, starts to walk around. It's quite dark, but his power armor gives him some light, so he can see. He starts to explore surroundings, trying to find an exit. He sees lights up ahead. Light up ahead. He walks towards it in a quickened pace. Then he stops when he hears footsteps. Heavy footsteps getting closer. 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 Frank assumes it's possibly, most likely a behemoth. A super mutant behemoth.
Damn behemoths. Super mutant kind in general. Scum. Exterminated like all the rest.
Frank says. He gets behind a rock. He's no coward, but he's not gonna lose a chance to get an ambush. He's smart. He's not some dumb brute. He knows this. That it's best to get the surprise on your enemy first. And he waits. And waits. He swears he can hear voices. Very faint. He can't make out what they're saying. And the steps get quieter, quieter, more distant. Whatever it was, he walked away from where he was. Didn't go in his direction. Frank is kind of disappointed. He wanted to have some fun and rip some super mutants apart. But I guess you can just go find them and do it then. He lets his guard down, and then something grabs him from behind. Something big, large. And you can see from the hand. It's fairly intriguing. First he assumes that he's being picked up by some giant Deathclaw, which he'd take very much pleasure in taking its head off, like he did the talking ones in that vault. And then he hears a voice speak to him. The voice was sweet, kind, and innocent sounding. Very bubbly, even. This is someone who has no cares in the world and just a little ball of sunshine. The voice says,
Ooh, a scavenger? Oh, very big scavenger. Metally scavenger? Ooh, Starflight would love to see you. He'd love scavengers. Loves to study them. They're so interesting to him. He says they're endangered.
Frank is kind of surprised. Especially once he turns his head and gets a look at what's holding him. He thinks he's going to see a giant, hideous beast, like those wretched, disgusting Deathclaws. But what he sees before him is surprising to him. He sees what he could only describe as a dragon. It's confusing to him, because he knows damn well that they don't exist. He knows very well they don't exist. Even with these radioactive creatures, nothing can get close to this. This looks natural, not mutated or radioactive creature. The dragon also is smaller than what he would expect from a dragon. It looks maybe even stunted, even? Maybe. Maybe it's just young. But its scales were a yellow color. Maybe even close to the color of sand. and he could see an innocent, joyful grin on the dragon's face. It looks so innocent. So odd. He wouldn't expect to see a look like that on a giant beast. If this was any other creature, he would have already taken its hand clean off and then caved its skull in with his boot. But he's just surprised, but also intrigued, as well as curious. Well, ever since Frank was little, he's always liked dragons. They were so interesting to him. He'd always read about them in books, watch them in shows, and all these other things that would intrigue him and bring him joy. He always dreamed of riding on the back of a dragon, up high in the sky, above the clouds, as the sun goes down, or at the dead of night, as the moon is overhead. It was his own little fantasy as a kid. And then he grew up and realized the reality of the world, what it is, and what it became, although those disgusting muties that he has to exterminate on a daily basis. But, this creature was so intriguing, though. He also realized he might should say something to, get down, because he'd rather not be being held in the clutches of a giant dragon. Of a dragon, even if it is a small dragon.
Put me down, you overgrown gecko.
The dragon's face seems to look of shock. Eyes widening and mouth agape. The dragon's mouth opens and closes in quick succession, as if to say something, but nothing comes out. It's just silence. And then the look of shock fades, and then a look of joy, curiosity, gleefulness, maybe. So many different things on this creature's face. And then what Frank could only describe as a squeal? Like, very girly squeal, as if they just saw something cute on the road. And the dragon seems to do a little dance. And then the dragon speaks.
A scavenger? Scavenger that talk? Ooh, Starflight will definitely. Like, he'll be so excited. I gotta show you all my friends.
The dragon continues, mumbling and saying many things, some a bit too quick for Frank to catch. Only thing he can resemble this to is seeing someone fangirling over something. It's bewildering to him, if anything. Very bewildering and strange. Very, very strange.
Put me down, for I take your claws.
The dragon then seems to stop its ramblings and look sheepish before nodding and putting Frank down. Finally back on solid ground and not being held in the air by a dragon. Even if it was indeed a small dragon. Frank looks up at it. Before he can even say anything, though, the dragon speaks.
I'm Sunny. What's your name?
Frank is just kind of bewildered slightly. Dragons give themselves names, Well, in his mind, though, he could find the name fits, especially with that little dance that is doing. For that, Frank may not like to admit, or he'll never say out loud to any being, that he found that to be a little cute. And very amusing, if anything. Frank then decides he should also introduce himself. If he's in this situation, he may be a giant of a man that's intimidating and likes to rip people's arms off for fun, but at least he has some manners.
Frank Horrigan. That's my name.
Frank says. And then he adds,
United States Secret Service.
even though, now, Frank thinks about it, wherever he is, he probably really isn't what he that last part anymore, since whatever is probably left of the end, whatever is probably left of his so-called faction is most likely gone now, if anything. But to be honest, he didn't really ever care much for them, to be honest. He knew all of them were afraid of him, and honestly, he liked it that way. Now, Dragon seems to do a little squeal and puts its hands on odds of its snout, and then speaks again.
Ooh, you scavengers gave yourself names? I didn't. You named yourselves? That's so cool. I really, if Stella Starflight this, he'll be so excited.
And yet again, that name, again, Starflight. Intriguing name. Most likely another dragon. Question is, though, what should he do? What should Frank do? He doesn't know. Should he go and meet this other dragon? And from what the dragon has said, there is more than just one other dragon here. It did say it had friends after all. His curiosity is piqued. Frank doesn't usually, if he was in a situation like this, the walls would have been painted red by now. And the floor would have been a gooey muck. Meaty little bits. So, he decides that maybe he should go and meet these other dragons. If it goes bad, then, well, that's what he's got his plasma cannon for. And even then, it's not like he'd need that. His bare hands are more than enough to tear a person in two. But, as it is, he'll see where this goes. See where this little dragon takes him. And that is where we're going to end this part. We're going to have chapter 1. We're here. Frank Horrigan has ended up in this strange place. But the very bubbly and very kind and excitable Sunny, what will prevail from this? What will happen? Who knows? Until next time, though, in Chapter 2. Chapter 2. If any of you, I personally don't even have an idea for the name for the next chapter, I must admit. So, I'll give it up to you in the comments. leave a comment on what you think the next chapter should be named. What the name of it should be. Here's a little, since we know he's going to be meeting the other Dragonets of Destiny, come up with a name that would make sense for that situation, in a sense. That is where this will have to end. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you loved this video. Well, leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more. I'll try to get the next part out as soon as possible, and I'm experimenting with this. So I hope you all enjoy the story. Now, time for me to say bye-bye. See ya.